Anyone know what B is? Awesome. Jinx. So that counts as a confirmation. So we're good. So 35.7. So I'm going to go back up to my what I know and fill in that angle B is 35.7. And then now that we know that, Charlie, you're going to tell us how to find angle C. Which I want to say is 114.3. Someone check me on that? Yeah, mental math. Whoop. Okay. All right, now, if I'm going to find C, I've got angle C, so we're able to do that now. So I'm going to say, all right, I want to find C. I'm going to change colors so we don't get confused here. We want to find C, and I want to stick with A. We know A. So when I set this up, it's a missing side. So I do C over sine of C is equal to A over sine of A. And then I'm going to throw this one out to Allie. Fill in those blanks. Sine of what now? All right. Great. Good job, Allie. Since you're doing so good, what would be my next step? Awesome. Those are going to cancel each other out, leaving just C on the left. And someone shout out, what did you get for C? See that louder? 10.9. Can I get someone to confirm it? Yep. Yepers. All right. There we go. 10.9. So that seemed pretty much like what we just did, right? Now, this is actually, if you look at the title here, it's called Handling the Ambiguous Case. Do you know what the word ambiguous means? Who's got their iPhone? Ask Siri real quick on speaker to tell us what ambiguous means. Oh, come on, don't act like you don't have your phones out all the time anyway. Val, is that an iPhone? Dang it, Allie. Hey Siri, what does ambiguous mean?
What does ambiguous mean? It says open to more than one interpretation.
Awesome. But will you say it again, but like how Siri says it? All right. So open to more than one interpretation. Here's the thing, guys. With the combination of sides and angles they gave us, this is one interpretation. Could I have drawn this differently? And the answer is yes. How so? Well, the way I remember this, the ambiguous case, they give you an angle side. You can think in your head, what does that spell? And associate that with the thing that you don't like, because it's the ambiguous case, all right? Now, if you have an angle side, and you're given the middle side is longer than this other side here, it means you could draw this one of two ways. I drew this where side A was swinging out like this. But actually, could I have drawn it in such a way that side A was swinging in like this? And the answer is I could have. There's more than one way to draw this. That's why it's called the ambiguous case. So here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to copy this picture over onto my next slide, because we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to show you the other way you can do it, okay? And you're like, Solberg, we can't do that. And I say, I know, it's okay. Just copy it over, okay? So we're going to do this same triangle, but I'm going to show you how it might look a little bit different. I'm actually going to, let's do this. I'm going to make it even bigger so we can see it. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to try to redraw this triangle. Where instead of this A that was coming down like this, how I drew it like that, I'm going to try to draw it like this. So, do you see how when I was drawing the side A right here, I chose to draw it out like this? Since A is smaller than 7, I can actually draw it in like this as well. So that the triangle right here, this skinny little obtuse triangle, that one is going to be a different interpretation. That's why it's called the ambiguous case. Now, if you're like, well, that's not cool, it's actually not too bad to figure out the other answers for it as well. Because let's label what we figured out from last time, okay? So last time, I figured out, we were given that this angle was 30, right? And when we found angle B before, what was it? Look back at your notes from B. 35.7. Now, here's the thing. This was how we drew A the first time. This is how we're drawing A the second time. If I just look at this triangle right here, if this is 6 and this is 6, what type of triangle is it? If you have two sides that are the same, isosceles, right? You remember that word? And in an isosceles triangles, the two sides are the same length. So, since this is 6 and that's 6, it's an isosceles triangle. The other relationship in an isosceles triangles is if the two sides are the same, the two angles across from them are also the same. So what does that mean? That this angle is right here. It's also 35.7. How does that help us? Well, let's look at these two angles here in our ACT warm-up. We talked about complementary angles. What does complementary angles mean? They add up to 180. So for this other case, this ambiguous case, how could I figure out what angle B is? From what? We're going to do 180, but then we're subtracting off this 35.7. So you guys on your calculator, it's like 144.3. Yeah? Okay, so for this new triangle, this skinny triangle that we're focusing on now, angle B is going to be 144.3. So let me highlight this new triangle that we're working with, okay? We're focusing on, oh no, let's not do that one. We're focusing on this triangle. There we go. So for that triangle, angle B is going to be 144.3, oh, I don't want that, degrees. Okay? Now we can easily figure out what angle C is, because I know A is 30 degrees, I know B is 144.3, so how do we figure out what C is? Just subtract it from 180. Can you guys hear me do that? 180 minus 30, and then minus 144.3. I think C is going to be a pretty small angle. What is it? Thank you. And that makes sense in our picture. That's a pretty small angle. So then the last thing we need to find here is just side C. We don't know what side C is. So if we're trying to find C, which letter? We know everything else, but let's just go with A because I like those numbers better. So this is going to be C over sine of C is equal to A over sine of A. And then we're just going to plug everything into that, okay? So we don't know what C is, but we know that angle C is 30. And then A is 6, right? Thanks. Angle C, wasn't that the 1 or 5.7? Thanks. Glad you guys are paying attention. Does that look better? Sure. Let me just double check. C, finding, angle C is 5.7, angle A is 30 degrees, side A is 6. Awesome. What is my last step, guys? I just need to solve for C. What do I do? .7 on both sides. Sine of 5.7. Okay, so you're going to put that in your calculator. 6 times the sine of 5.7 divided by the sine of 30, which is 1/2. What does that give you? 1 point what? 2? Alright, so now I know that this side length for C is equal to 1.2. And now we have found all of them. Okay, so let's just review. First off, when do you get the ambiguous case? If you're given an angle side, and the middle side is bigger than the longer side. The middle side is bigger than the last side. That allowed it that when I drew this, I could have drawn the 6 out here, or I could have drawn the 6 out here. And that's how there's 2 cases. So that's what you have to be careful of. If you actually go back to the example we did, go back with me now, 1, 2. On this one, I was also given an angle side. Angle side. But notice this angle, this side length here is smaller than that angle. So I couldn't have drawn it coming on the inside because it's smaller than the 6. And that just doesn't physically work out. So if you have an angle side and the middle side is bigger than the other side, then you're going to have 2 cases. You have to draw both triangles and figure out what the sides and angles would be in both of them. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to hit the pause button.